back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new here, hi and welcome. I'm Joanne. I'm so excited to be sharing my July bullet journal setup with you guys. This month's theme is super cool and kind of different than anything I've ever done before. I've done this really like geometric and patterned theme. I was super busy all of June. I just had so much going on, so I didn't have a ton of time to spend on my bullet journal. So I decided to do something that requires no artwork, no drawing, and no calligraphy. So literally one of my easiest ever and fastest ever monthly setups, and literally anyone can do it. So I really hope you enjoy this setup and maybe give it a try. This month I'm starting a new bullet journal. This is a brand new journal and July is the first month that I'm doing in it. I've also done my setup for the second half of 2023 in this journal already, and I'm working on that video. It will be out very shortly, so I'll be looking forward to sharing that with you guys too. As usual, I'll be linking all the products that I use in this video in the description box below, so feel free to check those out. And now let's get right to it.
To start off, I'm grabbing a ruler that I made. I'm going to be sharing this really soon in my 2023 new bullet journal setup video, so stay tuned for that. But for the cover page, I'm just marking out the layout of the grid I want to do. And I'm using this like block lettering font. As promised, there's no calligraphy required, so I'm doing a mix of this block lettering and just a plain lettering in this month's setup. So I just wrote the letters in block letters, coloring it in with a black marker, and then I'm adding this like shadow to the top and right of every stroke. So just adding these like block lines, and it gives this sort of like fun block look. I don't normally go for fonts like this, so I thought I'd try it out. And then I'm using this like, it's literally just my regular printing. So that will be the fonts for this month. And then I used my ruler to mark out 6 lines, like you saw, like they're kind of lightly marked in pencil. And I'm doing this like triangular pattern here in 6 different colors. So that's what I marked out before, and now I'm just going in and coloring these all in. Obviously this video is like greatly sped up. My hand was like cramping by the end of it. But yeah, this cover page is so different than what I've done before, and I'm kind of really liking it. What do you guys think of this cover page? Next, on to the next page on the left of the cover page. I usually use this as a quote page, but in the spirit of keeping things a bit simpler and a bit quicker for my setup this month, I decided to put the calendar here. I've seen this in some other setups and it feels like quite efficient with the space, so I'm going to try it out here. I'm just using a light gray marker for the calendar grid and then the blue on top. And then I'm going to be putting my goals here as well, so also very efficient and using the space. I'm doing the same font as I did for July for the goals in this like sort of navy or like royal blue pen, and then coloring that in. So for the weekly spreads, I'm going to be doing something I've not done before, which is this waterfall Dutch door setup. So I have done Dutch doors before, but I did like a rounded one. I've not done this waterfall design before, and I've kind of sketched it out in pencil, but what I've done is I've gone to the back. I've gone like and planned out like week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and I've laid it out, and then I've started with the back page of the monthly setup, and I went 2 grid lines inwards from the edge of the page, and then every page after that I went 2 more grid lines in, and I end up with this really cool effect. And now I'm going to be coloring each page, and the idea is that when you open it from the first page you can see all the pages, and it sort of is like a waterfall. So yeah, I'm using the exact same colors that I used on my cover page, and I didn't plan this out. It worked out perfectly. There was 6 pages and there was also 6 different colors on my cover page, so that was sort of a lucky coincidence, but I'm not that organized, I have to admit. But it worked out great, and now I'm coloring these all in, and my arm was cramping again after this, but I think it's looking super cool now. On the very first page, it's basically a half page at this point because it's the very first of the Dutch doors. I'm going to be putting my habit tracker, and I'm keeping it simple this month. I'm only doing 3 habits because that's all that will fit anyways on this like half page. So I'm using the same block lettering font, and then I'll be drawing out the habit trackers below. This is another really handy feature of that grid spacer ruler thing that I made. I added a little grid for 7 days of the week because I knew it would come in handy for the habit tracker grids and also like the weekly calendar like sort of snapshot views that I like to add on my weekly spreads. And And across from the habit tracker, this is the back side of the cover page. I have a bit of space for a few different things I want to plan out this month. I'm adding 2 boxes here that will give me some space for some planning, and then I'll be putting the mood tracker below that. First week of July actually is just one day. July starts on a Saturday, so I've just put 1 box here, and that will just be like a standalone thing for the very first day of July. And then I'm starting the first week on the next waterfall page, and because it's still very narrow at this point, it's really only half a page, so I didn't think 2 would be enough, and so I'm gonna be putting, I'm gonna be putting 2 days on this page, and then the next page will also be part of week 1, and then after that I'll just have 1 page per weekly spread. I went with one of my most simple weekly layouts, which is just this bar across the page. I'm doing 3 on each side using my grid spacer, and this one's so simple. It's so quick to set up because you literally just draw the bar and then you write the day on top. And I'm just using my regular printing, no calligraphy, no fancy fonts, literally just my regular printing. I think it took me about 2 minutes to set up this weekly spread. Since I didn't do a quote page this month, I did have some space above the very first day of the month here, adjacent to the first weekly spread, so I decided to add a quote here, and I was a bit unsure what to add, but I decided to go with this quote to keep calm and organized on. This layout is very like geometric and patterned, and I would say I'm like quite an organized person, so I don't know, this quote was like a little bit ironic to me in a way, but I just put it in there for fun. Now I'm on to the second weekly spread, so this is a full week, and I'm starting to have a little bit more space because the waterfall pages are a little bit wider here. So I'm going to be using these 2 pages for the second week of July. I've already set up the calendar layout in the bottom right. I won't show you guys this every time. You've already seen me do this a few times. And I'm doing a sort of interesting layout here that I've never done before. But I drew, instead of like the horizontal bars, I went with vertical bars and then just turned my notebook around to write the days. And I don't know, I think it just adds a little bit of interest, something a bit different that I haven't done before. And for the last weekly spread, I finally have a bit more space because the pages are getting a bit wider, and so I'm resorting back to one of my all-time favorites. If you guys have watched my Plan With Me's before, you've seen this weekly spread, and I just wrote the days of the week in short form inside the boxes, and then the numbers around. I did have to cheat a little bit. I couldn't quite fit in perfect quarters on the right page, so one of the boxes is really short, which is why I went with the short form. But I'm really happy with how this turned out, and I liked how I used a gray to contrast the sort of bright blue I have on the right side. And for the very last page, there are 2 more days left in July, so I'll be adding those, but on the last page I'm adding my notes page, which I always really like. I find this page so helpful. It's just kind of like a brain dump for anything that I think of during the month, or especially if I have like plans upcoming the next month and I haven't set up my journal yet for the next month. I find this page super helpful, so I'm doing that same block lettering on this page, and then for the last 2 days I'm just doing the same horizontal bar layout again. I'm using a bright blue since to kind of contrast the gray on the right side, adding those 2 days. And then I had some space, so I decided to do something that I've not tried before, but I'm gonna do like an end of month check-in, and I'll use this space to check in on my monthly goals, my mood, kind of goals for the next month, and yeah, we'll see how it goes, and maybe if I like using this in my journal, I might add it next month too. So just using the same fonts to match and sort of tie in with the cover page, and then using another bright color here to contrast the gray on the side. And this is the final flip through. This theme is so different from themes I've done before. It's very geometric and quite simple, very color coordinated, and I'm really liking it more than I expected I would. It was also one of my quickest ever to set up. What do you guys think? So in last month's Plan With Me, I think I showed you guys that they were all outside now. They all have their own pots and they are just thriving. They love the sun, and my chilies have all been getting super tall. I grew these all from seed, and this jalapeno is actually starting to flower already.
And that's all for this month. This was one of my fastest ever setups, and I think it's really efficient. I'm not sure if it's my favorite ever theme so far, but I think it checks all the boxes. It's everything I need to be organized and on top of everything this month. So I'm really excited to have tried something a little bit different this month, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy watching me set up this month's theme, don't forget to hit that like below and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, friends!